And we can appreciate that. That's what children just want to do. They just want to play. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just say we're chasing after one thing. Allah says, لَعِبٌ وَلَهْوٌ. Eventually, games aren't enough. And some of you might have experienced this. I experienced this a couple of years ago where I was playing peekaboo with my daughter and object permanence kicked in. So I'm going, boo. And she looks at me like, what are you doing? Apparently I was the one having fun and she wasn't anymore. Because that time had moved, actually. That's just one way of saying it, but lahwun. Lahwun is translated to either distraction sometimes entertainment, sometimes recreation. But basically something to take you away from your day-to-day. And that actually ends up happening. That as a child gets a little bit older and they have chores and things to do, what do they want to do? They want an escape. It's no longer pick me up, it's no longer tickle me. It's read me a story. It's let's play a sport. We have a bunch of things we need to do, no, but let's take time off in order to do something else. That's lahwun. That's what people start chasing. That's what we start chasing. And actually, I'm going to go through 3 more of these stages, but for us to keep in mind, these are stages that exist in all of our lives as well. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces them stage by stage into the human being. La'ibun, games. Lahwun, distractions or entertainment. And then a certain amount of time passes, and the next stage starts kicking in. The next stage is zinatun, which translates something along the lines of beautification or adornment. And I see a lot of parents here. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You have someone in the house who won't leave the bathroom for an hour and a half. Why? Because they need to look exactly like how they want to look. If they don't achieve that, they're not leaving. That's zinatun, beautification. This starts taking over the mind of a human being, that I need to be someone worthy of being looked at. That this is what defines success, is whether I look good or whether I don't look good. That becomes kind of the manifestation of this age. So much to the point, if a child or if someone doesn't look the way they want to, maybe they're not as fit as they are supposed to be, they start having severe disorders, eating disorders, body dysmorphia of some sort. Why? Because I don't look how I want to look. Even if my parents' house doesn't look like how I want it to look like, I can't invite my friends over. If their car isn't something I'm proud of for other people to look at, I want them to drop me off 4 blocks away from school. Because beautification is what you're chasing after. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues. Games, entertainment, beautification, zinatun, وَتَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ. That eventually that stage passes as well. And what someone chases after is tafākhurun bainakum, is usually translated to, it's in the 7th form of the Arabic verbs, for those of you who are like grammar nerds, but it's a mutual competition, or mutual competing for what? For accomplishments. At a certain point, I work as a Muslim chaplain at Rutgers University, so I deal with college students all the time. And one of the things I can tell you about college students is, especially now when exams are about to happen, college students look like bums. And the reason is because exam time is too important. So they no longer worry about how they look like, it's all about the accomplishments. I need to do well on my exams. Because what are they chasing? At the end of the day, what they're chasing is accomplishments. As soon as you get a degree, you can place it anywhere in your house, but it typically goes up on the wall so that people can see it. You get your first job, and you can't wait except to tell everyone. You get your first car, and you show it off. Why? Look, I am now able to drive myself around. You start sharing accomplishments. You stand next to a famous person. You take a picture and you upload it on your Facebook profile picture. Why? Look, I was so important that I happened to be next to this person on the plane. Even though, not that you did anything to get there. But what is it? Tafākhurun bainakum. You're chasing after accomplishments. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues. What were the 4 again? Games, la'ibun, lahwun was entertainment, zinatun, beautification, and mutual competition. Tafākhurun bainakum. The 5th and final stage sinks in. And that 5th and final stage is the gathering. Takathurun fil amwali wa awladi, is the gathering of wealth and the gathering of children. I'm going to rush through it because I don't have much time. I got the 5 minutes thing like 2 minutes ago. But what this kind of comes out to is this idea that a flip turns on in this mind of the human being, maybe as soon as they have children, or maybe as soon as they have a little bit of wealth. And what is that? Will I have enough? Will I have enough? I have a child now, I need to worry about where I live. I used to not worry about the neighborhood, but now I need to worry about the neighborhood. I used to not care where my next meal came from, but now I want to plan out my retirement. Why? Because I really now care. I care about the future and the gathering of wealth and the gathering of children. That becomes what takes over the mind of a human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala paints this entire analogy and says, this is a typical human life, this is what one human life is worth. Not that any of these cases are actually bad, but this is a typical human life.